You are watching Fieldsports Channel News. The RSPB are hypocrites. That's the accusation from the Countryside Alliance. A week after accusing government ministers of telling lies about its commitment to the environment, the bird charity released a hard-hitting message on social media featuring images of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Ministers Michael Gove and Theresa Coffey. The word liars is emblazoned across their faces, highlighting government shortcomings on environmental issues. In response, the Countryside Alliance points out that the RSPB has close ties with United Utilities, which was named the UK's worst polluting water company last year.
And if the RSPB are going to use their platforms to call out others, it needs to address the massive elephant in the room, United Utilities, and use its platforms to condemn them. And until such a time that it calls out others, but not United Utilities, the RSPB are very much open to the accusation of hypocrisy.
The Scottish Government needs to rethink its approach to conservation. The new Director of BASC in Scotland, Peter Clark, says the Scottish Government's push towards protecting the environment could instead lead to the decimation of the rural economy. He believes the push for carbon neutrality in Scotland is what's driving the government's approach.
You know, the rural economy survives on shooting and conservation. And, you know, constituents of theirs will work in the sector and have jobs in the sector. And we always frame it from that point of view, that if you remove shooting conservation or our ability to, whether it's manage grouse moors effectively or carry out predator control or operate lowland shoots, if you remove that from the rural economy, there isn't anything left. You know, the rural economy in Scotland is a very fragile economy, and there are no viable alternatives. You know, when you look at other sources of employment across rural Scotland, they just do not stack up on the job figures. There's a sort of drive to meet net zero targets, and we see that through the Butte House Agreement with the partnership with the Scottish National Party and the Green Party, that there's this very strong drive toward net zero targets, and we don't dispute that. We want to see the effects of climate change reduced. We want to be part of that, but we are part of that solution, and I think that's where the government needs to understand that. I think what would say to the Scottish Government is to take a step back and realise, where is the actual work being done? It's being done in the countryside, it's already being done. Support these people to continue that work, support the land managers, the gamekeepers, farmers, etc., who all have a sort of shooting and conservation background. Keep supporting them to do that, because we are the solution to the problem. We're not the problem.
The European Commission has announced a rethink on the conservation status of wolves. It announces that there is significant concern for the safety of wildlife due to the resurgence of these apex carnivores. Wolf populations have expanded from their strongholds in Poland. The animals are now frequently seen in forested areas as far west as the Netherlands, Belgium and Luxembourg. EU President Ursula von der Leyen stated that wolves now pose a tangible threat to both livestock and humans. She has called on local and national authorities to take necessary action. The president's sentiments are personal as well, as she lost her pony Dolly to a wolf attack at her home in Western Germany last year. The former leader of Lambeth Council is the new shadow DEFRA secretary. Steve Reid MP assumes the role following a reshuffle. Reid is the MP for Croydon North and was formerly the Justice Minister. He replaces the Oldham MP, Jim McMahon, in the role. A new film released by South Africa's Conservation Imperative explores the role played by hunters in safeguarding wildlife. The South African Hunters Group says it is constantly working with scientists, wildlife groups and researchers to secure habitats for South Africa's wild creatures. It points out that hunting funds private conservation initiatives, which in turn support rural economies in the country.
If wildlife doesn't work for the people of that area and is of no value to them, the people will then decide, well, how can we generate benefits? So they will probably just eat the wildlife. Once they're finished with that, cut down the bush, turn it into a form of agriculture, maybe run their livestock. I think ultimately that's not a win for anyone. More and more these days we are starting to understand what is known as regenerative science, so the regenerative management of the planet. So if your management principles are not sustaining life cycles, water cycles, things like that, you're out of line. We're looking at conservation from ecological sustainability, economic sustainability, and then social sustainability. Now all three aspects of that conservation are equally as important. So sustainable principles of offtakes is very important. Are you generating the right revenue from your wildlife resource, what it's actually worth, and where's that revenue being spent? So as long as it's going back into sustaining the systems, the societies around it, and adding value, and that in essence is basically what we would call growing the wildlife economy.
There's a link for you to watch the rest of that film below. Nature Spy has hit back after social media posts falsely accused the company of not supporting shooting. The UK-based tech company supplies field sports equipment, including trail cameras and thermal imaging kits. It says it has fallen victim to a social media campaign which says it won't sell equipment to organisations trying to protect native UK red squirrels by controlling greys. Technical Director James O'Connell tells Fieldsports News Nature Spy is in favour of humane grey squirrel control and always has been. The row began after Nature Spy was linked to an ongoing police investigation into the alleged inhumane dispatch of grey squirrels. The UN has revealed its estimated cost of invasive species across the globe. Researchers from 49 countries have spent the last 4 years measuring the impact of non-native invaders. Species such as grey squirrels, American signal crayfish, Japanese knotweed and invasive grasses contribute to the demise of wildlife and damaged livestock. The report says the invaders have quadrupled worldwide every decade since the 1970s and now cost $423 billion a year. Basque announces a special prize for its annual autumn draw. This William Powell 12-bore 28-inch Viscount shotgun is priced at £13,000. Details of how to enter the competition to win it below. And finally, this is an odd one. This seeker shot in the Scottish Highlands has unusual palmated antlers, but that's not all. It seems to have both male and female parts. As you can see, it has teats like a hind, but male bits too. Maybe it's nature providing the ideal solution for the Scottish Government, so you can shoot it all year round. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for fact.